Hi. Welcome back. Um, welcome back, FYFY. My name is Jeremiah. This is Miriam. This is Sarah.
What to do, everyone?
Hi guys, welcome
I'm
back.
back.
And this is what our third episode
I
of
know.
FYFY for the youth, from the youth.
Yeah.
We had a good video last night. Not last night, but last week. Last episode.
Yeah.
Really good
Two
video.
weeks ago.
Today, we introduce, another check-in, bi-weekly check-in. Um, I'm excited. I'm really excited. First, I want to shout out to Rise Youth. This is brought to you by Rise Youth of the
Mhm.
Israelite Nation. We are youth of the nation. Our job is to rebuild this nation. And we do this by connecting with the youth, for the youth, from the youth. So, welcome back, Fi fam. Let's get started.
Woo!
Woo!
Hey,
Now this is becoming part of my I guess bi-weekly, sit down. Like it's becoming part of my life. I'm actually looking forward to what we're gonna be doing here. So
Right, for
absolutely.
sure.
yeah, hopefully it's becoming part of your guys' routine because I know
Seriously.
I get a lot out of these check-ins.
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And we had a pretty good video, pretty good episode. Last episode, we had some really interesting comments. I can't wait to get into the depth of that.
Yeah, so we actually wanted to shout out Pansy for her comment last video. I will read it now. Failure, I think, is when we fall and refuse to get up and try again, then make excuses and blame everyone and everything around us. And I absolutely love that comment because it tied into what we were talking about perfectly. Failure is definitely something that we can define as falling and not trying to pick ourselves up, blaming other people, putting not, holding ourselves accountable and putting the blame on everyone else so that we don't have to be responsible for our own shortcomings or mistakes we make and things like that. So thank you, Pansy, for the absolutely amazing comment. Thank you, everyone who left comments last week. We read through them and we absolutely loved reading all of your comments. And we hope that you guys, comment on this week's episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you're feeling. Um, let us give us your answer to this week's check-in question. Just be in the comments. We want to see it.
Yes, yes. And I saw a couple drawings from last time that I loved. So definitely make sure whatever activities we're going to be doing, especially for today, you guys are all
Mhm.
taking part and participating. That's all we want.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. All right. Should we jump in to this week's check-in question?
Yes, ma'am.
You
Let's
should.
do it.
This one is exciting. It's the most exciting yet. Like I say every week. Okay, check-in question. What is some of the best advice you have heard? It's very simple, but I feel like we can get deep with this.
Okay.
Really, really, really deep.
The best advice you've ever heard.
Right. And your entire life. It could be advice that you heard yesterday. It could be advice that you heard when you were 10 years old. It could be advice that you gave yourself, advice that you gave someone else, and you were like, oh, that sounds
Mhm.
good.
Or a
like,
total stranger. I mean,
yeah,
this you get
exactly.
advice from everyone. You could always use new advice. You're not always gonna remember some good advice, some good quotes, but they can stick with you for life. So yeah.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. The good ones that actually evoke change or evoke feelings, they stick with you. So we
For
want to
sure.
hear yours as we give you ours. Always.
Hmm.
All right. And then to help us do that, we're going to bring in our handy dandy whiteboard.
Yay.
Whiteboard. Um, and it's handy dandy. Okay. So where should we even start? Like, this is such a broad question that a
Mhm.
lot comes to mind. I'm trying to narrow it down to the first one I want to give. So why doesn't someone else go first? I gotta think about this a little bit.
Okay, I guess I'll start.
Please do.
I think that the one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received is um, live for yourself. No one else is going to do it for you.
Mm,
Hmm.
Basically, live your life, make the decisions you make, because at the end of the day, you have to live with every decision, every choice, everything you do. So you might as well take accountability and deal with it and do it. And even it ties back into the comment from last week. And holding yourself accountable and not blaming other people, but
Mhm.
living your life and taking whatever comes with that.
I love that. I love that. I feel like people are very influenced by the people and environment around them. So
Mhm.
just like reminding people to live for yourself and your own happiness is so important. Because I think people could get caught up in the details of like what certain things look like. But if you're being true to yourself, then you can never be wrong. I like
yeah,
that.
Right.
and also,
Exactly.
if you're living for yourself, you're also living, doing things that's in the best interest of yourself. Like that's just
Mhm.
not doing anything under the sun, but
Hmm.
things that can help you move forward in life and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a.
that.
I think it's a pretty decent, quote for sure.
Right. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
All
Who's
right.
next?
Let me try and pick one. Okay, here's one. It's about life in general. Um, it is life is never about one moment, it's about experiences. Um,
Mm. Okay. Life is never about one moment, it's about
Never about one moment.
experiences.
I feel like I need to remind myself this a lot because I have anxiety, and that causes my brain and my thoughts to focus on the details of when they go wrong and to focus on like what's happening right now or what's happening tomorrow. It is so hard for me to take a bird's eye view to my own life and be like, hey, this is just like one speed bump. This is one
Mhm.
thing that's happening. You
Mhm.
literally have your whole life to make up for it, to expand on it, to do anything else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that a lot of the times, especially when we're in not very ideal situations, we seem to um, really make a huge deal and kind of reflect on the things that got us to that moment or even our lives in a kind of negative way, maybe even to like compensate for that negative moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes our view of the past is skewed in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, to compensate for decisions we've made or things we haven't done. So I think that remembering that life is never about that one decision you make or that one moment in your life, but it's about the experience that you get from
Mm-hmm.
those situations that
Mm-hmm.
really makes life life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree. I think experiences can mold you in a person that you never thought you could be. Obviously, without because if you don't experience anything, it's kind of just like either you're scared to fail and you don't want to be scared to fail, or scared to try new things, and like you don't want to you're not gonna grow, you're not gonna be able to grow without going through certain experiences, whether it's positive or negative, honestly,
Right.
because then next time you go across that path, you're gonna know what to do, like,
Right.
so
I definitely can relate to that. I feel like if I focus on one event in my life, the anxiousness that comes from that, I'll be then like hesitant to then encounter something like that, whether it's positive or negative at all. So um, I definitely relate to that.
mhm. I
okay.
agree. That was really good. I like that one. I'm gonna have to write these ones down and, and take it for myself, add them to my new list.
Yeah, What about you, Jeremiah? You have one to add?
Yeah. All right. So, my first one kind of combats Miriam's a little bit. Um,
Ooh, conflict.
yeah,
Hmm.
devil's advocate. It is uh, everything I do is bigger than me,
Hmm.
uh, and that's like, it has to do with like, everything I do can affect, you know, well, not even indirectly, can directly affect, say my brother, my mom, uh, my branch, my nation, things like that. Like, and I think that's a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You don't want to be like, you. There's always some like bad apples in the bunch. You don't want to be that. Like, you kind of just want to honor your household, honor your family, honor your nation, honor your God in the most respectful way. Things like that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think that's everything can impact people that you may not even think about. That's why it's like, before I make a decision or before I do something, how does this affect my little cousin Jedidah or something, like, like something
Yeah.
as like simple as, I don't know, coming to and fro from work or whatnot, and you know something,
Yeah.
I don't know, things like
The domino effect of life. I know
Mhm.
for me becoming into coming into my adulthood, that was a heavy like idea to carry on my day to day because I definitely wanted to live like, what do you mean? My decisions just like they're my decisions, they just affect me. Like, why do I
Yeah.
have to consider all these factors? It was very frustrating.
yeah,
Hmm.
Um, but I do think it's inevitable. You can't help that your actions, you know, interact with other people in their life unless you want to live alone and depend on yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
mm,
yeah.
So I feel like maybe we should find a way to bring those two together because, on one hand, you don't want to keep thinking about other people and lose yourself in
Hmm.
that. But on the other hand, you don't want to think about yourself so much that you become so self absorbed
true,
that
yeah.
you stop thinking about others and you're just for me, me, me.
Yeah. That is
So,
great. Great.
so what would be a good way to bring the first one and the last one
Hmm.
together?
Let's think about this. Okay. So the first one, live for yourself. No one else is gonna do it for you.
Hmm.
And everything I do is bigger than me. Um,
So I think maybe still living, like live for yourself, but remember your community or remember others.
Mm,
Like keep others in mind as you live for yourself.
right.
I think this could get very philosophical because even if you go back to our first episode talking about culture and how when we grew up in a certain environment,
Hmm.
that culture and that upbringing is embedded into our DNA.
Right.
Therefore, it is part of yourself.
Hmm.
So when you live for yourself, aren't you? And if you are had that positive upbringing, aren't you naturally taking in your surroundings? And then
Yeah, okay.
for me, it's like, isn't it living for yourself that if that's true to actually who you are and you're making these decisions, that
Hmm.
doesn't it naturally affect people in a positive way? I don't, I'm just thinking out loud, but
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel so. I feel like it definitely could, but also not everyone thinks that way.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I feel like in a perfect world where if everyone was thinking the same, then
Mhm,
it'd be like, yeah, like obviously I'm living for myself, but also living for myself means also living for those around me.
yeah,
mhm,
But there are people who are at two different ends of the spectrum, right?
yeah,
There are the people who are fully like me, 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 me. I'm gonna do whatever I can and do it to whoever I can to get to where I'm trying to be. And
mhm,
there are the others that lose themselves trying to please and live for other people.
mhm.
mm,
Um, so I don't know. I feel like that's a big like
Mhm.
we just brought up a big
Yeah.
thing.
I think it does come down to the person, um, like what what's his interest, what does he value?
Mm-hmm.
Does he value the relationships around him, or does he value well, does he value the relationships around him and the people that's always been there for him, or does he value his personal success, or what does he value most? Um, and I think that also kind of ties in with um, I don't know, like figuring something out for yourself, as far as like a career path and how far you want to go, and also ties into like if you're your group of people that's around you, do will they allow you to uh, try to achieve that goal, drive
Mm-hmm.
the path and things like that, and give you the space to do your thing because they see something in you. Like it's kind of just whole types of a lot of things that ties into what can you do and what do you value, and
Yeah,
people are going to allow you to do.
I definitely think both 1 and 3, it is crucial in these instances that you have a positive environment and people around you that create that sort of that sort of domino effect. Because if everyone is thinking everything I do affects someone else, that's going to happen negative or positive. And if everyone's doing that to everyone, it's definitely a network of negative or positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right,
And in
exactly.
the first one, it's like if you live for yourself, that's sure that I think that's great. But like, what if you're around a negative environment? Then that's even more important to then live for yourself. Then
yeah, right,
you know
yeah.
what I mean. So I think that that environment factor is definitely a commonality between those two.
Yeah, but also I feel like you should. I don't know. I feel like you should ultimately still live for yourself, no matter what, though,
I guess that's true.
because yourself.
I guess
Ultimately, you should still put yourself first, because not
Right.
everyone is
yeah.
everyone is grown. Like everyone has bills to pay. Everyone has responsibilities. Things like that. You can't really you're gonna drive yourself mad trying to please
Mm,
everybody. So
mm-hmm.
It's true.
you have to,
I guess it's like live for, I don't know, like think of others in moderation. um, and make sure, you're not. I feel like that piece of advice is like a paragraph long. Like it can't just be put into a
yeah,
sentence. Um, but I think that, think of others in moderation and, try not to lose yourself along the way. Um, just put a bunch of bullet points under it.
right, yeah,
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm a terrible speller. Is lose yourself double O's or is it one O?
One O.
Sorry, that's a
Yeah, you're good. No, you're great.
but
um,
I guess in a way you can tie both 1 and 3 in, is um, like the dream of having a craft or having a career that can use that career to obviously make have a lucrative career, make money off of your career, but also use that career and that craft or whatever to fuel the nation or bring
yeah.
it back to the nation and things like that. So I
mhm,
think that's a good way to tie those two in.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
mhm.
just relatively speaking, it's
That's
something I would like to do in my life and things like that. So you know, but
that's great that you're even thinking about that. I feel like we're all 20-year-olds. Not every 20-year-old is out there thinking about how they can then bring back to their community. Everyone's kind of thinking about
yeah,
me, how am I going to succeed?
Mhm,
I definitely
mhm.
applaud you in that thought process. That's
Right. Right. I feel like that's something that's been instilled in all of us, and that's something that I think that we're all learning right now.
Mhm.
Like we've been told, use your talents for the nation, use your gifts for the nation for our entire lives.
Our lives.
Right. But now we're seeing that we should do that for ourselves, like
Mhm.
not by our parents or our aunts or leadership telling us to do it. And we're also seeing the benefits from living that way,
Mhm.
for ourselves. Because when you're younger, you don't really like see things like that, or you don't really notice blessings in that way.
Yeah.
But once you kind of come into yourself and you get older, is when you start realizing like, oh, this is actually a blessing. Like because I did this, for the nation, I was blessed, and the way I was hoping to be blessed, or a way that I wasn't even expecting to be blessed. Um, so I think, oh, again, like those two could be put into like a whole dissertation, I feel.
No, for real. I think we're writing that right now.
No, seriously.
We're
Yeah.
gonna hold dissertation on this. All right. Should we put a pin in that and let the comments finish that conversation?
Yeah, for sure. Let us know what you guys think. Come up
Yes.
with a way to bring those two comments together. We'd love to see how you guys feel
Okay. Yes.
about that comment, for
Please.
sure.
Right. Right.
All right. I think while we were wrapping that one up, I grabbed another one.
Okay.
And it's very simple, but it's something I have to keep reminding myself every single day I get up.
Mhm.
It's you belong.
Mhm.
I thought I was going somewhere else.
Yeah, you belong. And it's a thing where it's like fake it till you make it. Like tell yourself that, fake it when you walk into a room. I belong here, even if you don't believe it. And then once you start believing it, you're really like, man, like I really belong. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah. Mhm.
it's definitely a confidence thing. And I feel like
Yeah.
everyone kind of struggles with that. And you have to keep reminding yourself, hey,
Absolutely.
you belong here. You know?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like, especially at the ages that we're at right now, and at the different stages of life, whether that's like university or like grad schools or getting into your career, like figuring out your life, like it's sometimes we walk into a room and or go into a class and we're like, I do not feel like I should be in this class right now, or I don't feel like I'm qualified for this job.
Yeah.
But I think that, kind of reminding yourself that you were put in this position for a reason and
Mm-hmm.
you're here for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
kind of keeping that in mind is a good way to push yourself and to give that intrinsic motivation, so that you can get through whatever sort of negative feelings you have towards your situation and move in a positive direction, for sure.
For sure. For sure. This is something that it's such a simple concept, like I said, but it could change the way you think about what you do if you fully become to understand that, hey, like I belong.
Yeah,
No
for
matter
sure.
what I'm doing, no matter what stage of life I'm at, when I
Mhm,
walk into a room, when I start something new, when I
mhm,
talk to someone that I don't want to talk to, like I belong. And
mhm.
deserve to belong there.
Yeah, for sure. I love that one, Sarah. That was really good.
That's great. I'm not gonna lie, that's great because
Yeah.
that could change your entire mood to where
Mm,
um, you know you're comfortable. Being here. Like I worked this hard. I worked hard to be here. God wouldn't put me here if I didn't if I wasn't supposed to be here. So
Right.
reason.
mhm,
Yeah, I like that.
mhm, for sure. Okay, well, I have another piece of advice. It is, everyone does the best they can with the situation they're in.
Hmm.
Um, or, well, it was my professor. He had said that you don't want to judge people based off of their decisions so fast, because a lot of the times people just do what they know.
Hmm.
um, Whether or not that is a good thing to you or affects you in a good way or a bad way, like people just do what they know to do at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when someone makes a poor choice, instead of judging them for that one choice, you kind of want to look at the whole situation and say, okay, this is, even though I don't agree with what they did,
Mm-hmm.
this is why they did it. And I can maybe see how
Mm-hmm.
things led them to that point and
Mm-hmm.
to making that not so great decision.
Mm-hmm. I could tell you're a psych major. I
Yeah,
could
I
no,
was,
and
yeah,
it's so real because I think it was only after majoring in anthropology, which is study of culture and beings and people,
Mhm.
and taking psychology classes, that I was like, hey, everyone has an experience of their own that influences every single action they do.
Right.
The term is called sonder, when you
Mhm.
find that other people have an experience just as vast and great and big as you do.
Right.
It's such a like crazy concept to think about. But when
Right.
you start to understand it, like you were explaining, it starts to make sense why people make the decisions they make that seem crazy or weird or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can still look at someone and be like, I don't agree with anything you're
Yeah.
doing or
Yeah.
anything you're saying.
Yeah.
But given the way that you were brought up,
Yeah.
Yes.
or given the environment and the people you surround yourself with,
Yes.
I feel like I understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. No, that's real. I felt that one. So, do you think it is a risk of giving people too much tolerance and leniency when you adapt that mindset? That's my question for you guys.
That's a really good question. I feel like, because I think they use this a lot, or they're trying to use this a lot in um, the government and law,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to, with death penalty and life and whatever, trying to figure out, okay, this person did this thing because of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
They were just doing the best of what they did, whatever, whatever. So should we, end their life because of
Hmm.
their upbringing or whatever? So I think it's
Like things they couldn't control.
Yeah.
right, exactly. So I think it's hard because you don't want to give too much leniency. Like I wouldn't give Ted Bundy that much leniency. Like I can't do that. I
Yeah.
can't look at that and say, he was doing the best he could. Like, no, I'm so sorry. um, but I think that when it's, smaller situations, like when you're dealing with friendships, or when you're dealing with coworkers, bosses, colleagues, things like that, even the decisions you make for yourself, I feel like giving yourself that leniency and that understanding maybe will give you more peace of mind. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, Jeremiah?
Um, it's kind of a hard thing to say because um all right, so when you have a young man who was brought up in Chicago, it's nothing but crime, murder, all types of things like that that's going on. So you can't blame the guy for carrying a gun around.
Mm-hmm.
You can't blame him because he's defending himself. He's, what I'm saying, he's that's protection.
Hmm.
Chicago. That's just like somewhere in Iraq or something like that, like where things are really hectic. Like you can't blame someone for keeping their guard up and trying to have protection, things like that. But for him to get like you just can't blame him, But like at the same time, it's still the law, and you can't really give everyone because once you give one person the leniency, it gives a whole,
Hmm.
and
It
then
opens the door.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that, and it's like
Yeah.
can't let King Von loose or anything like that. Like
Right.
yeah, like you can't just put everyone. It's kind of just yeah. So it's kind of like a gray area of like I mean, he was carrying a gun. Yeah, he probably shot someone, but does he really? Is he really a true? Like I don't know. Like
You
it's kind of a
know,
hard
I
decide.
I think you make a good point. I think maybe it should be you could seek to understand, but not to excuse.
Yeah, because it's still
Yeah.
the law. You still killed someone or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
And,
Like at the end of the day, what you did was wrong.
right. But I could give you my understanding and empathy, but I'm not gonna let that slide, sort of thing.
yeah. Like
Mhm.
Situations that I apply that to is definitely in friendships, definitely when dealing with like conflict with, family and things like
Yeah.
that. It is always, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but ABC, you did that. I'm going to tell you, you did that right or wrongs, you know? So I definitely feel that there's a little gray area which you have to kind of decide for yourself where that line is.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that also comes with setting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to say no and all of those things. Like, I
Yeah.
think that it's really important to remember what you said, Sarah, understand but not excuse. So you can understand why someone did something, but you could also have that boundary with them and say, like, okay, even though, you did what you did and I understand what you did, that doesn't mean that I'm excusing it. That doesn't mean I'm not hurt. That doesn't mean that, it's okay. That just means I understand. But
Mhm.
you also still need to do the right steps and do the right things to get us back in a place where, we can learn and
Right.
move past this and grow in a positive way.
And I think you said something so important there is the keywords boundaries and saying no. And
Mhm.
I'm going to say this generation, but I don't, maybe it applies to all, but I'm part of this generation. So I'm going to say it. This generation it is so hard for one to make and stick with boundaries. I struggle with this. I talk to
Mhm.
people who struggle with this. It is so hard. We're all people pleasers.
Mhm.
Saying no. That
Mhm.
it's a two-letter word. I hear it all the time. It's so hard to apply that to your personal boundaries. It's
Mhm.
so hard. I just wanted to make that.
Yeah. That's true. It's so
I
true.
realize that struggle.
It's a big one too. Like, you don't realize what that small little word, like the impact
Yes.
that can have.
And then the strength and confidence it brings once you're able to say it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I agree.
Nah,
Okay.
I totally agree with that. Well, I agree with that because I don't. But me personally, I feel like if you say no, it's kind of like people are gonna respect you more. You say,
Mhm.
I say no off rip.
Mhm.
Immediately.
There's no potential of me saying yes, so no.
Off the bat.
I'm crying. That's so good. I love that.
But am I next?
Yes, you are.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right. So, um, mine is. Should I say that one or should I say? Nah. Okay. I'll say this one.
Okay.
Don't try hard to fit in. You were made to be different. Wait, hold on. Did I say that right? Don't. Yeah, yeah. Don't try hard to. Yeah, don't try hard to fit in. You were made to be different.
Mhm.
And that entails that, like, I mean, I don't really struggle with this no more, but like in high school and really not, well, what's a high school? Yeah, like high school, middle school, like it was kind of like a, you kind of have to like, I was one of those guys where I kind of had friends pretty much everywhere. Like I was kind of pretty friends with everyone, and it was kind of hard for me to like, I don't know, not be, I don't know how to say this. Anyways, I feel like in high school they give you pressure to like be normal, fit in, and
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
just be like conservative and things like that. Well, I kind of just took, I was always chill in high school, like I just minding my business and things like that. But like I feel like they press you to just be normal and be under this like criteria of just being a robot and being a follower really. And I
Mhm.
think that you're made to be different. You weren't really supposed to be fitting. You weren't supposed to fit in with like the normal crowd and things like that. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, you're made to you don't try hard to fit in, and that kind of just sticks with me all the time because it's like I want to be different. I don't want to. I'm not like you.
Right.
Same.
Right. We
Mhm.
need to start owning that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's
Mhm.
and it didn't take me. It took me a little minute to like realize like like I'm no, I'm actually different from all of y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think in high school there's this like I don't know if because I think every person in middle school, high school goes through this. I don't know if it's psychological where it probably is. I mean, maybe you could speak on this, Miriam, where your brain is trying to form all these nerve connections.
Mhm.
There's this idea, there's like, you want so hard to be accepted and to
Mhm.
belong.
Yeah.
Um, and you would even like change yourself to, sacrifice integral parts of your being in order to fit in.
Mm.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that's like survival of the fittest, if that's just your body trying to latch on to what they see as popular or whatever. But it is such a hard thing to grab away from, just to move away from. I think it took me until like college to really like shed that layer of myself from like middle school. And even now I still struggle with it, but I'm definitely more aware of it now.
Right. Yeah, for sure. There are different stages of development, and one that's talked about a lot in younger people is the need for approval, and the need to fit in. A lot of the time, I guess they do these studies a lot with children in like elementary school, and they talk about accepted and rejected children and how rejected children present themselves like in the classroom, how they may be a bully, or they may, not want to speak in the classroom. They may um, prefer to be alone by themselves, and how accepted peers are more open, are more outgoing, and
Mhm.
it isn't even in our control, really.
Mm,
And then once we get to a certain age and we notice these social norms, that's when we try to control it. And
mhm,
that's when you start to change yourself,
mm,
because you realize that you do have that control over how others perceive you.
mm.
Um, so I think that, at least for us, especially, we have always been different
Yeah.
because of Israel and because of who we are. And from a young age, I feel like we had to learn how being different is okay.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like for me, at least, that took some time for sure. Um, and like Sarah said, I'm still going through it a little bit. But I think that the fact that we have our community, going back to the community, and having people around your age who can relate to you really helps with, trying to find your crowd,
Yeah.
and your people. And that even goes back to Sarah's point, talking about you belong. Everyone has a place somewhere, right?
Mhm.
Um, and we have a place here with each other, even amongst our friends. Sometimes, we still feel different and we still feel alone in a way because they can never relate to us on a spiritual level, so being able to come to Israel and, talk to um, like-minded individuals who have the same spirituality, who serve the same God, it's like, okay, I do have somewhere, that ground zero, somewhere I can come back to, people I can relate to, things like that.
Yeah.
Right. Because like I was like you made a good point because in high school it's kind of like I said, like I was kind of cool with everyone. I was kind of cool. I was cool with like the people that were into books, the people that was always in the library, the sports people, popular kids, fashion people, all types of people. And like it was so odd because it's like I would be reading a book or whatnot, and they'd be like, "Bro, you read books?" Like they like you know how kids are. They'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "Bro, yeah, I like Star Wars. I want to watch some Game of Thrones. Like what? Like I like certain stuff. It's like, bro, like
That
yeah,
is not a nerd show. Everyone loves Game of Thrones.
It's
yeah.
too good.
I was just
Too good to fit in a box.
like, yeah. They were like, bro, you you're in the books. I thought you were just all about Hooper or something like that. I thought you were like it was
Mhm.
just, people had such a small mind in high school. It was so funny. Like
Yes.
can't advance my learning, my reading comprehension. Like
Yes.
it's kind of crazy how sad it was.
You
Mhm.
know what? I bet if we ask a lot of people that grew up in this nation, there is that kind of intersectionality or that kind of mature thinking in high school where we didn't weren't aligned with what other people were thinking. Because I noticed that too in me and my siblings in high school. We didn't fit in a box, and we also thought it was weird how other people tried to. Like
Mm,
it was very much a conscious, like we had a very conscious like thought process when it came to like social ideas and conversing with people. Not to say we didn't make mistakes or we didn't fall into some of those um, traps or whatever. But that I could relate to that thinking and that observation very well.
mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, let's go back to our list.
Please. All right. So
Mhm.
we have what, six here? Should we do one more just to make it seven?
I feel so. I
Yeah.
feel like we should.
We need to end on a very good note.
A banger.
Right.
So should we maybe, I don't know. Should we maybe all give one and try and combine it?
I don't know. How would that work? Because I feel like the one that I have is just like, mm.
Uh,
So
you got a banger then. She must have a
you got a
banger.
banger? Let's go with yours,
I
man.
don't know if it's a banger. I'm just saying. I don't know if it'll
By
fit in.
yourself. Stand by.
Okay. The one that I have is I've heard this one recently.
Okay.
It's treat yourself like you would treat your best friend, your sister, your parent, someone you love. Like don't bring that negative energy to yourself that you wouldn't bring to people you care about.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, if you bring that to yourself, you may start treating other people in your life in a negative way. Um, or you just may lose yourself, things like that, where it's like, be nice to yourself, basically.
I like that. Give yourself the grace. I
Right.
Once I started to realize that I was treating people in my life better than I was treating myself.
Yeah.
Will do it. That'll make you really look into how you're treating yourself. If you got someone else this like amazing gift for their birthday, you need to go ahead and get yourself something.
Right.
Right? If you forgave your friend for doing something that upset you, you need to forgive yourself for when you make mistakes. So
Right.
definitely.
yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Definitely. Without a doubt. You should be, what do they say on airplanes? You need to strap.
You need to put your mask on first and then put the mask on for the person next to you.
Yes.
And the most important person in your life is yourself.
So,
Um,
Okay. Okay.
so,
Yeah. My last one kind of it actually definitely correlates to that.
okay. Sure.
what was yours?
It's take control of your life slash future.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Take control of your life.
At the bottom. Take control of your life. What was it? Take control of your life?
Yeah, take control of your life slash future.
And I feel like that ties into like even our first one. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a full circle moment.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like but all of the ones that we've said have kind of tied into that one.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
no, no, go ahead, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, as I'm looking at this, I want to add mine at the bottom too. They may not all line into each other, but mine was make room for trust. I don't think that's the same. I don't think it's
No, you can. You know what? You can make room
great.
to trust yourself, to trust the other people around you. I like that one. I do like that one.
Okay.
If you trust yourself, the better you'll be able to take control of your life, take control of your future,
Yeah.
and the better you treat yourself.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All of the good thoughts. All of
I
the
don't know if Jeremiah agrees. It doesn't look like he does.
I just wanted to be included.
You belong, Sarah. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
belong.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Look, this is a nice list. We should need to give ourselves a round of applause.
Yes. We hope that you guys were also making a list of the best advice you've heard or you've been given or you've given others while we were having this discussion. I
Mhm.
think that reflecting on advice is a really good way to think about, your journey, the things that got you to where you are. Um, think about the people who gave you that advice. Like, are they still in your life? Are they not in your life?
Mhm.
Um, I feel like, oh yeah, go ahead, Sarah, because you're.
I always tell people I'm the queen of cutting people off. So your thought was done. But of course, I forget what I was going to say. I was going to say, also added to that is take advice from people. I mean, never take advice from people who you don't like their life. Like, be careful who you
Mhm.
take advice from and how you hold that in.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard
Because
that.
like
Yeah.
you could be looking at someone and saying, "But you're not living your life
Right.
in that way at all."
All. At all.
Yeah, Kanye West said something similar to that in a song. I can't remember what he said exactly though, but it made sense. It made complete sense. Like, why would
Yeah.
you Why would you copy or take advice from someone that's you're ahead of, or you're no,
Mhm.
just
Right. Or who's behind you or not living a life that you want to live. Yeah.
Right, for sure. And I would always also say like take advice that you would give someone else for sure.
Hmm.
Because I feel like the best advice you can get is advice that you can give
Someone else.
others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. Yep. Take all this advice. Screenshot. You know what? I'm screenshot this. Okay, guys.
Yeah, take a picture.
Screenshot it. Add it to your notes. This is some real stuff. Okay.
Mm,
We
absolutely.
might be young people, but we know what we're talking about.
I
All
feel so.
right. Most of the time, sometimes, this time, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, for the past 45 minutes, okay?
In facts, okay. But no, thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching. We
Mhm,
want to hear your thoughts. We can't stress this enough. Comment, like, share, text us if
mhm,
you have our number, email us. Like, we want to know what you guys think,
mhm.
and also what topics you guys want us to talk about.
Right, for
Just
sure.
we want to talk about stuff you guys want to talk about. We want to get
Yeah, for
conversation.
sure. We want to get you guys as involved as we can. We know it's hard to do over the internet. So
Mhm,
please leave the comments, like, share, subscribe.
mhm. All
Make
our social
sure,
media at Israelite Ministries.
yes, yes, and make sure to tune into all the other things that this channel has to offer. But thank you guys for joining us for this week's check in. We really hope you enjoyed and it gave you some food for thought for sure.
Yes. Catch you guys in 2 weeks.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye.